Students, today we'll start a new chapter, chapter number 9, optics. This chapter is important in the point of view of 12th syllabus. So we'll start to learn this chapter. In an introduction, we know that the light is in the form of energy and it is visible to human eyes. Because of that, we can see the objects and interpret the world around us. When the light waves incident on the object and that light waves reflect from the object, it enters in our eyes and we get the sensation of the object. So we can visualize the things which are there around us. Now light is the electromagnetic transverse wave. So we'll learn these properties of the light in 12th also. That's what this chapter is important. Okay, optics is the term used for science of light. Now ray optics is based on the following fundamental laws. First law is light travels in straight line in a homogeneous and isotropic medium. Okay, this is the first fundamental law. Light is always straight line in any medium. Just now I said the light is the transverse electromagnetic wave. Electric and magnetic vectors are mutually perpendicular to the direction of the propagation of the wave. We'll learn this briefly in 12th standard. Here the second law is two or more rays can interact at a point without affecting their path beyond the point. This is the interference of the light. When two or more than two waves arrive at a point, they interfere, and when they passes from the point, they individually moves away from that point. Means ahead that point, they individually moves. They will not affect to each other. So these are the two basic laws. Then already we are familiar with the laws of refraction and laws of reflection. So here in introduction part we'll try to revise these laws. Okay, laws of reflection. Reflected ray. Now we know that when light is incident on the transparent material, it partly reflect and partly refract. Okay, so in reflection, the reflected ray lies in the plane formed by the incident ray and the normal drawn at the point of incidence. See, incident ray, reflected ray and normal which lies in the same plane. Okay, that point is there. Okay, now the second one is what? Incident ray and reflected ray on either side of the normal. Basically we learn these laws, but the last one is angle of incidence and angle of reflection are equal, that is I is the angle of incidence and it is equal to angle of refraction. These laws will verify in 12th standard syllabus, but basically we have to memorize that angle of incidence and angle of reflections are same. Now laws of refraction, first two statements are same, that is refracted ray, even uh, incident ray and normal are lies in the same plane. Second one is incident ray and reflected ray is again on either side of the normal. And the last one is uh, angle of incidence. Here theta version is changed, that's what the notation is not appeared. But this one is theta 1 and this one is theta 2, angle of incidence and angle of refraction. According to the Snell's law, we'll write n1, that is refractive index of first medium, n2 is refractive index of second medium. When light is passes from one medium to another medium, it refract. So sine of theta 1, that is angle of incidence, and sine of theta 2, angle of refraction in the denser medium. This is equal. Then by rearranging this equation, we'll write n2 by n1. This should be n1. n2 by n1 is equal to sine theta 1 divided by sine theta 2. Even we can write, instead of theta 1 and theta 2, we'll write sine I sine R. So this equation becomes n2 by n1 is equal to sine I by sine R. This n2 by n1 is again n, that is refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium. It's equal to sine I by sine R. So this is the introduction of this chapter. We'll move to the next point of the chapter, reflection. Now again this is the part of introduction, not the separate point. uh, a reflection from a plane surface. See, uh, when an object is placed in front of the plane refracting surface like mirror, the image will be there in the mirror. So how that image, the image is virtual and laterally inverted. We know that in the mirror, uh, if we stand in front of the mirror, uh, the image is appear like what, the thing is or object is in the right hand. In mirror, it reflect the object is in left hand. So it is inverted image will be produces in the mirror. This is the basic thing we know it. Now image is of the same size that of the object. The uh, size of the object is not changed. Size of the object and size of the image of the object will be appear same. Now it is situated at the same distance as that of the object, but on the other side of the reflecting surface. Distance uh, from image distance and object distance has to be considered over here. Whatever the distance of the object is there in front of the mirror, the same distance the image is produces, but it is beyond the mirror. it is an opposite side. Okay. So this is about the reflection from a plane surface. Now formula to find the number of images, this has to be considered over here. If the object is kept between two plane mirrors inclined at an angle theta, again the theta is not appeared over here. Multiple images n are formed due to multiple reflection from both the mirrors. If the two mirrors are kept inclined uh, by an angle, and the object is there in between these two mirrors, then we'll observe the multiple images. Okay, so these images are produced due to multiple reflections, and there is the formula to find the number of images. Okay, so formula is this, that is n is equal to 360 by theta. N is the number of images seen, capital N and this small n, there is the relation. So the first one is, if n is the even integer, means the angle is 60, theta is 60, then definitely this will be n will be 60 and it is even integer. For if the even integer n is the even number, then for all positions of the object, the number of images found that can be calculated by this formula, that is n is equal to n minus 1, means 59 images will be produced. If theta is 60, then small n is equal to 60, and it is a even integer, even number, then number of images produced will determine by using this formula. Now n is odd, then uh, an object placed at an angle bisector of the mirror. Angle bisector, we know it. And if the object is placed at the angle of bisector, then we'll determine the number of images by the formula, that is n is equal to n minus 1. And if it is off the angle bisector, the number of images will be n is equal to n, means whatever the images produced over here, that has to be considered, and that is the number of images. Okay, and if n is not integer, then n is equal to m is the integral part of n. So with these different formulas we can uh, determine the number of images which is produces uh, by reflection in two mirrors which are inclined by an angle theta. Then the next part is refraction, and we know that when the ray of light is uh, comes to the interface between two medias, means light is incident on the surface which separates the two medias. Okay. uh, in refraction, the ray of light is passes from one medium to another medium. We can say that air medium and denser medium. When light is passes from air medium to the denser medium, it bends towards the normal. When it passes through the denser medium, it bends towards the normal. This phenomenon of bending of the light when it passes from one medium to another medium is known as the refraction of light. In brief, I explained over here. When light passes from one medium to another medium, it bends towards the normal. When it passes from a rarer medium to denser medium, it bends towards the normal. And when it passes from denser medium to a rarer medium, it moves away from the normal. So this has to be considered over here. Refractive index. Now the speed of the light in a rarer medium or vacuum medium to the speed of light in the denser medium. This gives the refractive index, that is n is equal to v1 by v2. In air medium the velocity of light is c. Okay, so we'll write n is equal to c by v. Even the absolute refractive index, the definition is there. Again, it is absolute refractive index is the ratio of speed of light in vacuum to that of the given medium. Means when light is from one medium to another medium, the ratio of the speed of light will give us the refractive index. So here, as I said, refractive index is n, c is the speed of the light in air or vacuum medium, and v is the velocity of light in the denser medium through which the light is passes. So n is equal to c by v. Refractive index of water with respect to the glass. Okay, refractive index means light is passes from water medium to the glass medium. We'll write n w, that is refractive index of water with respect to glass, n2 by n1. Just now we studied in the introduction from Snell's law. This n2 is c by v2 and n1 is c by v1. C cancels on numerator and denominator and we'll get v1 by v2. Okay, so refractive index of water with respect to glass, we'll write v1 by v2, that is velocity of light in air medium to the velocity of light in whatever the rarer medium, the velocity of light has to be considered in that medium to the velocity of light in denser medium. Okay, so this is about the refraction of the light, and the formula is very important. Now here is the point, total internal reflection of light. In the diagram, uh, this medium is the rarer medium, optically rarer medium, air medium, and uh, this is the surface, and this one is the denser medium. Denser medium, you can say glass medium, water medium, and now source of the light is here in the denser medium. And as I said, when the ray of light is from denser to rarer medium, it bends away from the normal. I repeat, when light is from rarer to denser medium, it rarer to denser medium, it bends towards the normal. There is the refraction of light, means the light is passes from rarer to denser medium, it moves towards the normal. But a light is from denser to rarer medium, it moves away from the normal. Okay, so here now source of the light is in denser medium. One more thing has to be considered over here. If the ray of light is suffers along the normal, it not bends. ठीक है? Light is along the normal, it not bends. Now here normal is this and angle of incidence is I1. Angle of refraction is R1. Definitely this R1 is greater than I1 because it moves away from the normal. Straight line, this dotted line is the original path and this one is the refracted path of the light. So definitely R1 is greater than I1. When light is from denser to rarer medium, the refraction angle is greater than the incidence angle. And when it is a rarer medium to denser medium, the angle of refraction will be small as compared to the angle of incidence. Now here light is from denser medium to the rarer medium, the angle of refraction is more than the angle of incidence. Angle of incidence is increases, angle of refraction is increases because it moves away from the normal. But at the particular angle of incidence, the angle of refraction suffers with 90 degree and this angle is known as critical angle. Okay, at the particular angle of incidence, the refracted ray is suffers with 90 degree. This is the critical angle, and if the angle of incidence is more than the critical angle, the total light is reflected in the denser medium. No light is there in the rarer medium. Entire light is reflected in the denser medium. This phenomenon is known as the total internal reflection. So the uh, diagram is explained, even the working and everything is explained. So let us see the same thing is over here. A refraction of light from denser to rarer medium, and here is what the ray is bent away from the normal. Then denser medium to rarer medium, the ray is move away from the normal. Then a critical angle is what? At the particular angle of incidence I, the corresponding angle of refraction is in rarer medium with 90 degree and it is called the critical angle. If angle is more than that of the critical angle, the total light is uh, refracted in the denser medium. See, the angle of incidence greater than the critical angle, the refraction becomes larger than 90 degree and the ray does not enter into rarer medium at all but is reflected totally in denser medium. This is called the total internal reflection. It is very simple, a very important phenomenon. Now, two definitions are there in this article. One definition is total internal reflection, and the definition is very simple. For angle of incidence larger than the critical angle, the angle of refraction is larger than 90 degree. If angle is more than the critical angle, okay, angle of diffraction definitely more than the 90 degree, all the incident light gets reflected back into the denser medium. Source of the light is in denser medium and total light is reflected in the same medium. This is called total internal reflection of the light. Now one more definition: critical angle. Critical angle for a pair of refracting media can be defined as the angle of incidence in the denser medium for which the angle of refraction in the rarer medium is 90 degree. The angle of incidence in the denser medium at which the ray of light suffers with 90 degree in denser medium is the critical angle. So these two definitions are important, and even the total internal reflection of light is very much important. The question will be what? Define a critical angle, define total internal reflection. Separate questions will be there on definition, and uh, write note on the total internal reflection. Diagram is essential and explanation. It is very simple. Now the next one is uh, the applications of the total internal reflection, and the first application is optical fibers. So the diagram of the optical fiber is uh, this optical fiber is separated into two parts. One is core, flexible transparent core, optically denser than cladding. Core is the denser, and cladding is the another part which is over here. This cladding is rarer as compared to the core, and these two parts, that is core and cladding, is uh, buffer in a protected layer. We'll say buffer and jacket construction. One more layer is there uh, to the optical fiber. Okay, so this colored layer is what? Buffer and jacket construction or layer, and it is up to several kilometers. Diameter of this optical fiber is nearly or less than 1 millimeter optical fiber, and it works on the total internal reflection of the light. So let us see the construction of the optical fibers. Uh, an optical fiber consists of extremely thin, transparent, and flexible core, and this core is surrounded by optically rarer flexible cover called cladding. Core is core and the cladding is with different material. Core is the denser than the cladding. Definitely the cladding is the rarer material. This is the major part of the optical fiber. Now, for protection of this two, that is uh, core and the cladding, buffer and jacket layer is there. It is coated around the cladding. Now, entire thickness of the fiber is less than uh, half a millimeter. Many such fibers can be packed together in an outer cover. So here are the number of fibers. Okay, then construction is this. Now we'll try to understand the working of the optical fiber. So the working with the diagram: optical fiber, core and cladding is here, and the signal. Okay, it's very simple. Working of optical fiber is based on the total internal reflection of the light. Total internal reflection of the light, and shear. the signal ray of light is entering in the core and suffers with multiple uh, total internal reflections before emerging out after a several kilometers. See, when light enters in the optical fibers, angle of incidence is more than the critical angle, and the light is not enters in the optically rarer medium. Okay, total light suffers in the denser medium only. This is the mechanism of the total internal reflection of the light, and it works in the optical fibers. I repeat, angle of incidence is more than the critical angle, and the refracted light is suffers with more than 90 degree. So entire light is uh, uh, spread in the same medium or reflect in the denser medium. Every time the light suffers with total internal reflection for thousands of kilometers, several kilometers, and it emerge from the optical fibers. So there is no loss of energy. Okay, optical signal travels with the highest possible speed in the material, and it emerged optical signal has extremely low loss of the signal strength. There is no loss of the strength in the optical fibers. So whatever the signal is enters through the optical fibers, it suffers with the total internal reflection of light, and with the same strength it come out from the optical fibers. So this mechanism is very important. This okay, it has to be considered. Now, advantages of the optical fibers. Nowadays, the optical fibers are used for the communication. Optical fibers for the communication. So the advantages are what? Uh, Frequency range, broad bandwidth. For TV signal optical fiber can carry over 90,000 independent signals through a single optical cable. uh, 90,000 independent channels we can operate. So range is very wide, and there is no interpretation of the signal. Immune to electromagnetic interference. We know that the distortion is appears in the set because of the mixing of the signals. This not happens in the optical fibers because the optical fibers being electrically non-conductive. Actually, the material used in the optical fibers is coarse or high quality uh, plastic polymers. That is, the transparent material is used for the optical fibers, and we know that this material is not conductive. So there is no interpretation of the signals which passes through the optical fibers and which are present uh, nearby to the optical fibers. So the signal which is passes through the optical fibers is not affected because of this non-conductive material. Electrical Insulator. Optical fibers being electrical insulators, ground loop or metal wires or lightning does not cause any harm. It is very simple because uh, the fibers are made from the insulating material like coarse and high quality plastic fibers. Uh, so there will no effect of the uh, other electrical networks, wires, metal wires, and even the lightning will not affect on the optical fibers. So these are the very important uses of the optical fiber. This is uh, very advanced. Now, theft prevention, definitely in optical fibers there is no metals, costly metals are not used. Like that, the normal wires, the copper metal is used, and copper metal is costly. So there is no possibility to theft, uh, even the robbery of this type of the material. And the last one is low attenuation loss. Attenuation is what? When the signal is passes close to the surface of the earth, it is interpreted with the uh, magnetic property of the earth, and there is the loss of the signal. But here the optical cable is from the non-conductive material, so it will not be affected by earth's magnetic field. So there is no loss of signal due to attenuation, and it passes for the several kilometers. So these are the advantages of the optical fibers. Students, uh, actually introduction part and these two important articles we studied in the today's lectures. Definitely, uh, in second lecture, we'll try to learn some basic ideas related to the lens. And in third lecture, we'll try to learn some optical instruments, how the light is uh, passes from the medium, dispersion of light. Uh, like that phenomenons are there. We'll try to learn in the third lecture. So in today's lecture, we'll stop over here. Important part is there. Some questions will be sent there in the assignment. Try to solve it. Thank you.